Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time stopping by here on the channel, my name is Grace, and on this YouTube channel I share sewing tutorials. In today's tutorial we are going to be making a simple base for a corset dress. So this base is going to serve like a foundation of what we are building the whole corset dress on. You can make use of materials like corset mesh for this to make it a transparent corset if you want, but for this tutorial I'm making use of a crepe material. So one thing you need to note about a base corset is that the length must go down to your upper hip area so as to be able to place your skirt on it effortlessly. Also, in the series of next tutorials that I'm going to be dropping on this channel, I'm going to be showing you how I made everything about this corset dress you can see down here. So if this is something that interests you, sit back, watch these videos, subscribe to this channel, and also make sure you turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when these tutorials are dropped. To start with, I already have my vertical lines placed on my pattern paper. I also have my armhole curve, my neck depth and neck width for the front pattern, and the shoulder slope. So this first line here is my shoulder line, the second one is my chest line, the third line here is the bust point line, the fourth one is the under bust, the fifth one is the waistline or the half length, and the last one is the top length and the hip line. So from the top I have my chest line at 8 inches, my bust point at 9.5, my under bust at 13 inches, the waistline at 16 inches, and the top length at 21 inches. So on my bust point, I'll take my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2 and place it on the bust point, the under bust, the waistline, and also the top length. I'm going to connect these 4 points together now with a straight line. After I've done this, I'll go to the under bust line and take 1 inch measurement away from that straight line that I just took now on both sides, and I will also do the same thing on the hip line. So I'm going to connect these lines together, so just 1 inch away from the under bust, and also the same thing on the hip line. So I'm connecting those 2 points together. I'm using this as my under bust tightening. Then I'm going to use my curved rule to connect to the bust points, just like you are seeing me doing it like this. So go ahead and use your curved rule to connect to your bust points like this. Then after doing this, I'll go ahead and take the measurement that I have between my shoulder and I'll divide that by 2. So that shoulder line up there where the slope is, I'm going to divide what I have there by 2 and mark it. Then I'll use my straight ruler to connect that with a slant to my bust point. After doing that, I'll go ahead and measure what I have in between my under bust tightening, and I'm going to be using the same thing for my over bust tightening. And to determine where my over bust is going to start, I'll determine how many inches off shoulder I want this corset to be. So for me, I'll just be making it 7 inches. Since my chest line is at 8 inches, I'll just come up by 1 inch. So I have it as 7 inches off shoulder. On both sides of that mark that I took 1 inches away from each of them, and I will use my curved rule to connect those 2 points down to my bust point. So that is my over bust tightening for this corset right there. Then after doing this, I'll go ahead and determine where I want my bust bridge to be. As for me, I want it to be just like 1 inch below my chest line. So the bust bridge is that area where it's at the center of your corset. So I just came down by 1 inch for my chest line. If you want your own to be more than that, you can go ahead and use your chest line or even your bust point. So from that line, I came in by half an inch, and I'm going to be connecting from the first over bust tightening that we have up there to that bust bridge that I just created now. So I'm just going to be using my curved ruler. So make sure you are using the part that is curved on your ruler. And for the downside, I'll use this other curve ruler just to make sure I have a good curve, and I'm connecting from that bust bridge that I created to the under bust. So can you see that we have the first cup already? Then to work on the second cup, I'm going to be placing my horizontal measurements first. So on my chest line, I will take my bust measurement divided by 4, and I will go ahead and take what I have in between that over bust tightening and place it as an allowance, so that we won't have shortage at the end of the day. I'll do the same thing on the under bust. Take my under bust measurements, get what I have in between the under bust tightening and place it over there. Then on my waistline, I'll do the same thing. I'll take my waist measurement, place what I have in between the darts as an allowance. And on the top length, which is the hip line, I'll also take my hip measurement divided by 4, place it there, and replace what I have in between the dart area. Then I'm going to be connecting them together, but before I do so, I'll be taking 1 inch off my waist area because I'm going to be snatching it by 1 inch. So I'm just taking off 1 inch away from that to aid my snatching. So because this corset is going to be dartless at the end of the day, I just have to do my snatching on the side. So I'm just connecting from my chest line to my waistline, and also from that waistline I'm going to use my cuff to connect to the hip line. After doing this, I'm going to be taking my bust dart, which is the difference that I have between my front and back waistline, and for this I have 2 inches, and I'm going to be placing that 2 inches below my bust point like this, and from that point I'll connect to my bust point at the cup area there. So I have created the bust dart, and the next thing that I'm just going to do is to come here to this place the armhole curve is, and take the measurement I have between that armhole curve and the straight line. Then I locate the middle and mark it. So I'm going to use my scissors to trace this pattern out now, so that I'll be able to cut out my bust dart. So I'm just cutting out the side of this pattern, and I'll use my scissors to slash out that bust dart over there, and I'll also cut from the down part to meet the bust point, so that I'll be able to take in my bust dart. So I'm just using my paper tape to secure that down. After doing this, I'm going to cut out the remaining excesses for the side of the pattern, and also cut out the armhole area. Then I'll work on the second cup. So from this second side of the over bust tightening, to meet that line that I'll take in between the armhole curve and the straight line, I'm going to draw a curved line with my curved rule. Then I'll take this other curve row too and join it together to the under bust. So this is how the second cup looks like. So I'll label these cups cup 1 and cup 2, so that I'll not be confused when I'm finally working on them with the fabric. Now on the side of this top, I'm going to be coming in by 1 inch, and I'll just give it a curve there, nothing serious, just to give the side a curve like that. Then I'm going to be tracing out this pattern. So just follow the way I'm doing this, so that you will not get confused. So basically, I'm not going to be making use of ready-made cups for this corsets that I'm making. I'm going to be making my own cup by myself using fusible wadding or breast pad. So I'm going to be needing this pattern both for the cup making and also for the covering of the cup. So I'm just cutting out the patterns carefully, so that I don't mistakenly cut into my cup or something. And also for the yoke part of this pattern, I'm not actually going to be making use of it because I'm going to be draping my yoke directly on my client's body for this corset that I'm making. So I'm going to be using a different pattern of yoke entirely. So make sure that you stick to watching these tutorials until we get to that extent. And if you have watched this tutorial to this extent, don't also forget to subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell, so that when those tutorial drops, you are going to be aware of it. So this is the pattern that I'm going to be making use of for the front of the corset base. So I'm just going to arrange my cups like this and place arrows on them, so that it won't be hard to identify them when I'm cutting on my fabric and also on my wadding. So that's the yoke, though I'm not going to be making use of this particular yoke. And for the down part of this corset, because it's going to be dartless, I don't want it to have joinings. I'm going to join it together with my paper tape like this and make it one. So these are the pattern for the front. Then for the back pattern, I grabbed another pattern paper and also placed my vertical lines on it. So this is just me labeling them, though some lines are not really necessary for the back. You only need the chest line, the waistline, and the hip line. For the neck depth by neck width, I used 3 by 1.5, and the other things remains the same. So on the chest line, I'm going to be placing my bust measurement divided by 4 there, and on the waistline also my waist measurement divided by 4 and minus 1 inch for the snatching. So I'm snatching this corset by 2 inches altogether, one in front and one at the back. Then at the midpoint where the zip is supposed to be is going to be loops or highlights that I'm going to fix. So I'm taking off 2 inches from the middle back like this, and I'm just connecting that with a straight ruler. So I'm going to be taking off that area because it's not going to be needed again. So I'm just going to go ahead now and connect my lines together from my chest line to my waistline, and also with a curved rule I'm going to connect from my waistline to the hip line like that. Then after doing that, I'll just bring the front pattern to place on the side here to make sure that it aligns at the side. Then I'm going to mark that 1 inch point that I came up by, and I'll use my curved rule to connect that in there. So that's the place that my eyelets are going to sit, or the loops, whichever I'm using at the end of the day. So I'm just cutting out my patterns now for the back. So for the back yoke, I'm not also going to be making use of this particular yoke, but if you want to make use of yours, there's no problem. Just that I'm going to be draping my own yoke directly on my clients. So this downside is only the back pattern that I'm going to be making use of for this piece. Then I also realized that the front and the back pattern were not really of the same length, probably due to the shoulder dart that was taken in front. So if you have a shorted like this, you just have to cut out the back to make sure that you have something equal on both front and the back. So you can be replacing this when you want to work on your yoke, if you are going to make use of yoke for the dress. So this is the beautiful crepe material that I'm going to be making use of for the base of this corset. So I'm going to be making use of this crepe material. It's not too stretchy. I advise you that if you want to get a material for your corset base especially, make sure it's not too stretchy or even stretchy at all. So I placed my patterns on the fabric, folded into two already, though for this corset base I'm going to be using both the fabric as both the lining and the main fabric. So I'm cutting out 2 pieces for the front like this as one, and then 4 pieces for the back, so that I can make use of the back fabric as both the main material and also the lining. So the next tutorial after this is going to be the sewing tutorial of this base corset. I'm going to be dropping the link in the description box below so that we will not miss out on the tutorial. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.